Welcome back, I'm Jester of the Retro Stars. I'm playing through Ocarina of Time and analyzing it as we go. We have reached our second dungeon, and that is Dodongo's Cavern, using our newfound bomb powers here to open up the door. Today we're going to talk about how all of the dungeons in Ocarina of Time are sacred in different ways. And we'll talk about the overall structure of the dungeons, and then we'll focus on the sacredness of Dodongo's Cavern in particular. Alright, Navi, what do you have to say? There's lava. Don't touch the lava. Why ever would I want to do that? Okay, anyway, so we'll start by talking about the sacred overall and why it's important for Link's quest. Now, the game is basically split in half. We have the childhood dungeons and then we have the adult dungeons. And the sacredness of the child dungeons and the adult dungeons is different. So if we notice that the childhood dungeons take place in natural locations. We're in a cavern right now. And our first dungeon, do I need to bomb this area here? I don't think I do. Actually, what am I doing? I'm on this side to get the map. I know what I'm doing. I've played this game before, I promise. Why did that not bomb the wall? Well, okay. The childhood dungeons take place in natural locations. We are in a cavern now. The first dungeon takes place inside the Great Deku Tree, and the third dungeon takes place inside the belly of a giant fish. So we have a cave, a tree, and a fish. The adult dungeons, however, and there's 5 of them, they don't take place in natural locations. They take place in humanly constructed environments, specifically in sacred spaces. So the 5 main adult dungeons, minus Ganon's Tower, which is the 6th one, we'll talk about that later, they take place in humanly constructed sacred environments. Now, the distinction between these two places, the childhood dungeons and the adult dungeons, I think is important because we're essentially describing 2 different concepts of the sacred. Now, the first I'm going to call just the natural sacred. And the second I will call the supernatural sacred. So aspects of the natural sacred. Okay, here we are in here. There's these dudes that explode when you hit them, and they flop around. Let's try not to get hurt. Okay. Ah! Okay, aspects of the natural sacred are similar to what we've been talking about with the, I guess, Shinto idea of the sacred. It's about the natural wonder and meaning of nature, essentially. Okay, let's go in here. These guys can blow up this thing. I think there's just a gold Skulltula in here, but we'll go ahead and get that. Oh, and bats that I failed to notice. That's fine. And because Link is too short to grab it, I'm going to backflip into it. There we go. Amazing. Caught in the air with his arms a flail. Okay. Let's change shields real quick. That would be important. Okay, so the natural sacred is about the natural wonder and inherent meaning of the cosmos. It just is. There's nothing that has to be done to create that sense of the sacred. It is just an acknowledgement of the sacredness of nature that is there. The supernatural sacred, though, is interesting because it's more about, I guess, a religious structure, like a temple or a shrine or something like that, exists for a certain function, and that is to, like, restructure the cosmos according to some higher sense of purpose and some higher sense of the sacred. Usually it involves some sort of narrative, like a higher narrative purpose, often having to do with redemption. So it's almost as if the cosmos itself is brought into and reordered according to a different vision of the sacred. So the cosmos itself still matters. It's not like, we're trying to strive for something that's higher than the cosmos. It's just that the meaning of the cosmos is being re-articulated. Okay, we got some fun little mini-bosses here. So, when it comes to thinking about Link's quest, we will talk about, in much more depth, later on why specifically Link needs to go to these sacred locations to fulfill his quest. But I think for right now, we're just going to talk about why, as a child, Link interacts with the natural sacred, but why, as an adult, he has to interact with supernatural sacred. Okay, I love these guys. They're little like honks as they're fighting. They're very funny to me. They got their little ice pick looking swords. All right, let's come over here. And these guys are definitely an example of when you want your adult shield, because you can just sort of turtle yourself as they try to slam down on you. Okay, so, right. Why does Child Link interact with the natural sacred, but not the supernatural sacred? Why does adult Link need to move on to a supernatural concept of the sacred? I think there are two possible reasons. The first reason is that childhood Link has not yet experienced a fall. What is in here? Hold on. Is this relevant? Is this important? Are we good? Are we good? What's in here? Oh, no, I don't need that. He's just going to try and sell me something. Salesman. Salesman Deku Scrub. We don't want that. Okay, two reasons. First of all, let's hit him in the tail. First of all, Childhood Link has not yet failed. He's not yet experienced a sort of metaphorical fall. As I've mentioned before, and as we will continue to talk about, Link and Zelda fail in their attempt to stop Ganondorf from taking over the kingdom. And it's actually their very attempt to fulfill their quest that ends up allowing Ganondorf access. Whoa! Okay, we're fine. Access to the Sacred Realm. So whenever we get the 3 spiritual stones, we go to the Temple of Time and we perform the ritual. We use the Ocarina of Time to open the Door of Time to get the Master Sword. Unbeknownst to Zelda, the Master Sword ends up sealing Link away for 7 years, allowing Ganondorf easy access to the Sacred Realm, so he gets in and gets the Triforce and takes over the kingdom. So it is, and Ganondorf has been watching us in the background, waiting for us to open the door for him. So we have this here is kind of a pretty clear example of Link being a sort of tragic hero at this point in the game, where his very attempt to do something good inadvertently has unforeseen consequences and he ends up doing harm. So this idea of Link experiencing a fall, right? Like it's a sense in which Link actually contributes to the disenchantment of the cosmos by not understanding fully the nature of things, right? He means well, he has good intentions, but his own limitations, his own shortcomings, and Zelda's, and Ganondorf's, like everyone's shortcomings, right, contributes to the world falling into ruin. And when that's the case, then Link needs to figure out how to re-enchant the world, and to heal a wounded world. And that's one big aspect of the supernatural sacred, is that a lot of it is about, like I said, redemption, about supernaturally healing what has fallen into ruin. Okay, let's run past this guy. Nice. I am taking Navi's advice and not touching the lava. The floor is indeed lava. We don't want to touch it. Okay. Yeah, so that's one reason, right? Link experiences a sort of fall, and it's articulated very individually, where this is Link's individual fall on his spiritual quest. But because we've already articulated a universe in which the individual is very much related to the entire cosmos, right? The kind of resonances across the universe of the Triforce itself representing the individual soul, which, can you blow up, please? There we go. Gotta blow myself up with these guys. Yeah, the Triforce representing the individual soul and the cosmos as well. Like, there's a resonance between the individuals fall into disenchantment, and the entire cosmos is. So as Link discovers his own limitations as the hero, he discovers the failure of heroism. There is a real resonance in the entire universe that then has to be healed. Okay, so place that there. These stairs don't make any sense. You gotta blow them up, and the big pillar of stairs descends with the sound of turning gears. No idea why someone would want to design it like that, but that is fine. Okay, so that's one reason, right? Link experiences the fall. Not necessarily articulated in Christian terms, right? Like that idea of the fall into sin or into decay or whatever. But I do think there are resonances, right? So there is this narrative of like creation, fall, redemption, sort of, that Link needs to participate in as an adult. And that's why the specifically humanly constructed, supernatural sacred of these, that's a stick, that's not what I want, of the religious structures make sense. The second reason adult Link might need to interact with the supernatural sacred is that there's a possibility that we're articulating the insufficiency of the natural sacred to fully articulate the meaning of things. I think there's this understanding that the natural sacred gestures at the ultimate meaning of things, right? There is this sense that nature is imbued with meaning and significance, and it points towards some sort of ultimate reality. But then there's also this sense that maybe the natural sacred does not have the full picture, and the supernatural sacred does. That being said, I think it's really interesting that Link has to turn to the how do I want to say this? Link turns to the supernatural sacred because of his failure. So I think the supernatural sacred is interesting in that it actually brings the idea of failure into account and into a sense of the meaning of things. All right, we're making progress. Oh dear, almost fell down. We don't want to do that. Making progress. I love how this temple has you just circling around in different ways through the main central structure. Navi, I can see the spiky guy. I am blind, but I'm not that blind. Okay, we're fine. Okay, so that's the overall discussion of the sacred, I think, in Ocarina of Time. Now let's talk about Dodongo's Cavern in particular, because I think there's a big question about whether or not Dodongo's Cavern... I guess I do need that. I'm so used to my wallet being just completely full, where I don't actually need any money. Okay, here we go. We gotta time this just right. Dang it. Okay, so is Dodongo's Cavern part of the natural sacred, and if so, how so? It's the only... maybe hold on. Let's pause. Let's pause until I can get this right. Come on. Go. Nope. One would think that the ledge here could just be a little bit wider. Nice. I think there are several reasons we can think of Dodongo's Cavern as sacred as well. The first is that it really is the one exception to the narrative structure I've talked about so far in this episode. So we might as well just say, okay, it's the one exception and the developers weren't thinking that hard about it. Oh, hello, sir. Okay, we're just going to leave them alone. The developers weren't thinking that hard about it, but this general structure still holds true. Another possibility would require a lot of just so stories inventing lore for the Gorons that does not actually exist. But we're gonna do that just for fun. So the Gorons do have a concept of the sacred. It does seem that they don't. The only thing they really seem to care about at this point in the game is food, of getting they only care about getting the best rocks. However, they do have a certain concept of the sacred, and we see this when we go to the fire temple later in the game, where we hear from the child Goron, who ends up getting named after Link, that, I believe we hear it from him, I can't remember, that the Gorons do have this mythic hero that they revere, who, in mythic time, long ago, defeated a great dragon using the Megaton Hammer, which is an item that Link will get later in the game. So this is a mythic hero who, in the vein of Near Eastern mythology, creates order out of chaos. He almost is a sort of Marduk-like figure who slays Tiamat and builds the cosmos out of her corpse. So, the Gorons do have some concept of the sacred. That being said, it's not really clear whether we see that here. It almost seems like this place was a shrine of some sort that was long since abandoned. The main room has a giant skeleton in it. And, you know, there's the possibility that, okay, what if this was a some sort of dragon god, or even the dragon that was slain, right? In the other two childhood dungeons, we inhabit the body of a giant spirit. We go inside the Great Deku Tree and we go inside Lord Jabu Jabu. We're going technically inside the body of this giant dead dragon as well, so maybe there's the possibility that it was a god or the dragon that was slain by the Goron's mythic hero. Alright, we have the bombs now, and we are actually now going into the mouth of said dead dragon. Another Just So story that I could tell is based on conjecture about ancient religions holding caves as sacred locations. So, you know, we have a lot of cave art that seems to, or at least there are theories that a lot of cave art has something to do with magic rituals, like hunting magic, trying to call forth good hunts. There are references to ancient shamanism. Oh, that didn't work. Of depictions of these half-human hybrids, which people think, that's exploding. That has never happened to me before. Wait. Oh, I can just hop back up. That's amazing. No worries. Alright. Yeah, so in a lot of ancient cave art, you can find depictions of half-human hybrids, which people associate with ancient shamanism and therefore ancient religion. So caves are this numinous, dark, unknown place where the shaman would go to hallucinate and encounter the spirits of nature or whatever. I don't know. I'm not an anthropologist. This is not a work of anthropology by any means. But there's a Just So story about how Dodongo's Cavern could potentially be sacred. I think there's one more fiery keys in here. No, there is not. We're just gonna go ahead and call Dodongo's Cavern a sacred place, maybe an abandoned sacred place. Representing, oh, I just went back into, that's the incorrect direction. And the keys have returned. That is delightful. Come here. Oftentimes they drop a bunch of hearts. Anyway, this has been a discussion of the sacred in Ocarina of Time. Not entirely serious, but still fun to think about. I did my master's degree on the relationship between video games, myth, and religious ritual, specifically in the PS2 games. Drop down, please, Link. Specifically in the PS2 games, Okami and Shadow of the Colossus. And, we're bringing some of those ideas into this discussion of the sacred in Ocarina of Time. But, of course, this is all... Sir. Drop some hearts. Thank you. The idea of the sacred is a weird and interesting concept because it can be defined in so many different ways. In that sense, offering a definition of the sacred right now doesn't feel very helpful or possible to me. Maybe I'll try and do it in a later episode. But I think the sacred is one of those things. Oh, there's a fairy. Do I have an empty? No, I don't have an empty bottle. Is one of those things that where you just kind of know it when you see it. It's like beauty, right? Beauty can be articulated in so many different ways. But there is a common through line in different experiences of beauty where people will say, no, that thing is beautiful. Right? So there seems to be a quality about various, very different experiences that we call them all, where we would call them all beauty, just different types of beauty. I think there's potentially something going on like that with the sacred, where different cultures and different people will have a different understanding about what exactly the sacred is and what it constitutes. But there does seem to be common through lines and common experiences of what the sacred is, right? It's the highest value of a person or a community. It usually inspires awe and reverence, and it seems to have some connection with what the person or group of people believe about fundamental reality. And as we'll see later on, each of the different dungeons and temples in Ocarina of Time present the sacred in a particular light. So we've talked in very broad terms about the difference between the dungeons that Link encounters as a young person versus the dungeons he encounters as an adult. But each temple, especially in particular, is going to bring out a different aspect of a certain understanding of the sacred, different qualities of the sacred. So we will continue talking about that as we make our way through the game. I'm going to pause right here. Next time we will fight King Dodongo and make our way to the next temple after a quick detour up Death Mountain. All right, till next time.